Wednesday, May 31st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight I bring you my somewhat rambling coverage of Animazement.
Let's do this.
So I spent most of today in the South Bronx doing various odd jobs.
How south were you?
Very, very south.
Left claw north, right claw south.
Yeah, but I did something that I haven't done in a long time. It's been many months, but while I was driving down, I passed one of my favorite restaurants, and I had a break, so I took the subway back up the way I'd came, and for the first time in many, many months, I had a White Castle.
Ew.
I had like 10 burgers and some onion rings.
Ew.
The best part was the onion rings cost more than 2.6 burgers.
Ew.
I don't know what you have against White Castle. It is perhaps the king of food.
Maybe because it is in a castle, it is a king. However, the food itself is of the lowest quality. Well, not the absolute lowest quality, because you could just be eating dog poop or something. But of restaurants legally established in the United States with no health violations, White Castle is among the lowest possible caliber.
Now, the funny thing is, I can't stand most fast food. I mean, the thought of McDonald's makes me kind of ill. And
the only fast food I can really eat today is like Arby's type. And I guess if you count stuff like Quiznos as fast food, because it kind of is.
Yeah, all that plus White Castle. I can just
Can't eat White Castle.
I can pretty much eat White Castle burgers as fast as my body can process them. I can eat an infinite number of them. As long as I have access to a facility for relieving them from my body.
Ew.
Maybe it's because I grew up on White Castle. I mean, I lived in Detroit, and then I moved to New Baltimore, and there was a White Castle right down the street from my house.
So if you eat a White Castle, does a white brick come out?
No.
No?
No.
No. Because I figure that's how they made those places.
Actually, the one I ate at, or the one at which I ate, so Mr. Perry doesn't yell at me since he's back, as you've noticed in the forums.
Well, he's been there the whole time. He just hasn't noticed any severe enough violations.
Yeah, well, he kind of went on like a sabbatical or something, and he's back, and then someone finally went over the line. You know who you are.
And Mr. Period failed to edit the subject line. I saw that particular post.
I wonder if he knows that he can.
I'll have to tell him.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
Good. So we'll forget all about nasty-ass White Castle.
Which is fine, because there's actually some big news in the geek front today. Now, reports indicate that the Pirates Bay, the bastion of freedom and awesome, has been raided by the Swedish police and is shut down currently.
Well, this morning I tried to go to the Pirates Bay because I was looking for some techno song from Norway.
Oh, really?
I think, no, was it from Norway? I can't even remember now.
This Norwegian music's really picking up.
I'm not sure. I was looking for something, and I knew it was from Northern Europe, and Pirate Bay is in Sweden. So I was like, what's up? Why isn't Pirates Bay working? I did a little trace route, and I realized Optima Online wasn't doing the blocking because I made it to the Swedish routers. And then I just kind of gave up. And then I got to work, and I looked at the news on Dig, and it said, Pirates Bay raided, oh my god, what the fuck? And I said, oh shit.
Yeah, now normally I don't care about anything like this, but this isn't over with the raid. I mean, there have been countless little porn areas or wares areas or generally seedy parts of the internet where people would do this sort of thing, and they've come and gone over the years. But the Pirates Bay has been the highest quality, most reliable, and most resilient one ever.
Yeah, I mean, Supernova was the big torrent tracker, and no one else bothered to be a torrent tracker. And Supernova really wasn't that great, so I'm kind of glad that it got killed. But when they came to kill Supernova, Supernova basically bent over and said, all right, and they opened the asshole.
But the
Pirates Bay just gave the 2 double deuces and stayed on the sinking ship.
I mean,
it's not sunk yet either.
The Pirates Bay has received countless legal threats for many years, and every one of them, not only have they ignored, but they've responded publicly and hilariously.
They have their own political party, the Piraten something. And come on.
Now, the thing is, I mean, a lot of people rely on Pirates Bay, and someone noted on Slashdot that the average traffic in Sweden on the internet dropped precipitously as Pirates Bay went down.
Holy crap.
And the thing is, the people who run Pirates Bay know what they're doing. They are well aware of the laws that protect them, and I don't think the people raiding them will actually have anything on them.
No, because they're pretty much going to look through all the Pirate Bay computers to see if they violate Swedish laws, and they won't, because what is on the Pirate Bay computers? Well, it's a web server, probably Apache, and an index of torrent files, which aren't copyrighted. And they don't actually have the torrent files. They just have links to torrent files on other sites.
Now, it looks somewhat like a fishing expedition, because I assume the Pirates Bay people, because they're very smart, don't have anything infringing on their actual servers.
Of course not.
Now, they also raided the homes of several of the pirating people. I wouldn't doubt that some of them will have at least one or two pirated songs, as people tend to have.
As people who run the Pirates Bay tend to have.
Yeah. But I mean, that would be like, say, if alcohol was illegal. You can bet that in the vast majority of homes in the U.S., there would be some amount of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Same deal. So one MP3, they get them.
Yep.
And I don't know what's going to come of that. Swedish law regarding that is much more open when it comes to personal, private, non-commercial use.
See, if I was one of those pirate guys, I would be double slick. I would have stored all my MP3s and all that stuff on either portable hard drives and such that were hidden away where no one would find them. You know, when anyone, police came to my house, I'd just hide them in a secret cubby. Or I would put all of them on a server far away or in someone else's house and network to it.
I have a much simpler solution.
Yep.
When the police officers ask me where I got all these MP3s, I say, I bought used CDs with cash. I then ripped them and threw the CDs away because I no longer needed them.
Ah, it's a good one.
And no matter what MP3 they ask about, that is my answer because it is completely unverifiable. It cannot be proven either true or false.
That's the problem nowadays is in a lot of the stupid U.S. courts, the people are doing guilty until proven innocent instead of the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
1,000 guilty men go free before one innocent man.
Yep.
Yeah, what happened to that?
It seems that a lot of judges and companies basically care more about money and being stupid and being right than about being, I don't
know about
just.
stupid and right. I think money is just really the only factor there.
Yeah. I'm thinking justice, maybe. You're by default innocent. That someone has to prove that you did something. If it's impossible to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it, you didn't do it, even if you did it.
Yep. Now
That's exactly right.
Woe betide
if
the
I
judge.
kill Rim and there's no evidence, he can't put me in jail.
Woe betide the judge that ever has me or Scott on his jury. Woe betide.
Or defendant or plaintiff.
You know what? Pretty much anyone involved in that trial is not going to have a good week.
No, they're not.
But the one thing I really want to note here is that the Pirates Bay people are going to fight to the bitter end. They have hinted that if they have to, they will take everything and leave the country. The Pirates Bay will return.
Arr. It's like the ghost ship. Arr.
Now, the other thing about the Pirates Bay is that most of these sites prior to them were very porny and seedy.
Yep.
I mean, wares sites were generally bastions of wares, but they were also full of terrible porn and just scuzzy people.
The other thing is a lot of those sites are poorly designed, or they're designed like wares sites. You know, the design of a wares site, all cluttered, and the interface is shitty, and it's hard to figure out what to click on.
They have that animated GIF of a fire.
Yeah. I hate those kind of sites. But then there's good sites like Mini Nova or Pirates Bay, which are designed nicely, and they're useful, and they work.
I mean, the Pirates Bay was slick, user-friendly. It was run very professionally. Everyone involved in it was generally cool. And they're not just doing it for reasons of being pirates. They're doing it for ideological reasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I really look upon them as the early stages of freedom fighters against the various takeovers of the internet by, I don't want to say capitalists, but greedy corporate fucks, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, of course, we will be covering this developing story as it, develops. Now, Scott, don't you have some news?
Oh, I do. So CPM, Central Park Media, if you don't know.
It being Anime Day and all.
Hey, they're an anime company. They put out lots of anime in America that you've probably bought. Like Utna. The Utna.
Gonna watch some of that Utna?
Yeah. You know, they're not the best. They haven't really been able to compete with the likes of Viz, I guess, Funimation, Geneon, etc. They're, the second tier anime producing company. They were big back in the day, but they haven't been able to get the new licenses. So they haven't been doing so well. They're basically milking their old licenses. They're also not that good at making DVDs, to be honest. But they do license some important anime. Now, recently they laid off a bunch of people. And everyone said, oh no, this means that they laid off everyone they don't need, and the only people still working for them are some business people, and those business people are going to take care of the bankruptcy, and then it'll all be over. And I was like, oh well, I guess someone to see which anime companies pick up which of their licenses and which shows disappear into the void, and maybe we can get a whole bunch of cheap CPM DVDs.
Yeah, I'd really like to get some more Utna.
More Utna? Yep. So,
as much as I love that show, all I have are like 5th generation unwatchable fan subs.
Yeah. And Utna is a joke. The actual pronunciation is Utena.
Yeah. I don't care that sometimes they say Utena in the show. You don't call the show Utna. In fact, I saw an interview with Ikuhara, the crazy man who is partly responsible for Utena, and he said Shoujo Kakume Utena.
You can hear them say it in the show.
Sorry, this is just a pet peeve of ours because we've ran into people who, in a non-ironic way, would say Utna.
Yep.
And they'd say it just like that. Gonna watch me some Utna. You ever watch Utna?
God.
Down.
Hootenanny.
Ho down.
Okay, so the latest news is that CPM, they're not bankrupt yet. They didn't file for bankruptcy yet, and we don't know if they're going to. But the real thing that did them in was MediaPlay going out, because that was their biggest customer. So
yeah.
Their biggest customer died, and now they're in big trouble, just like a lot of other anime-related companies were in big trouble when MediaPlay died.
Yeah, I mean, MediaPlay's failure it really sent shockwaves through the anime industry because they were a major, major distributor of anime and anime-related merchandise.
They were the major distributor of anime merchandise. I mean, compared to, there was no company that bought more anime DVDs than MediaPlay.
I mean, consider that MediaPlay went under because the stores were terribly, terribly non-profitable. But there were a few that were profitable, and they were doing well. But they still had to be shut down because the whole franchise was being collapsed.
Yep. And the reason the whole thing died was because they sold CDs, and that was a large part of their business that they depended on, and CD sales.
Yep.
So as a result, all the other profitable parts of the store.
Now, the few media plays that I know of, at least, that were being successful despite all this, made almost all their money from anime.
Yep.
I mean, the one in Rochester, I think anime was really the only thing they sold.
It was basically an anime store within the media play.
Yeah.
It took up a whole corner of the store. It was huge.
I mean, hell, we used to run events there.
Yep. All right, so apparently CPM, is saying we didn't fire anyone because they suck. All these people are awesome. We just had to lay them off because we suck. If you want to hire anyone who just got laid off from CPM, then email hr519@teamcpm.com.
Uh-huh.
So if you need some anime employees, maybe some, I guess...
We should hire someone for Geeknights.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone works at CPM has the skills we need. Maybe DVD producers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an editor, so I wouldn't have to do post-production anymore.
Yeah, but you're paying them if you get...
No, we're not paying anyone.
Oh, okay.
Our first employee, we don't pay him anything. He just does it because he loves making people suffer.
Awesome.
I don't think we'll ever pay any employees anything.
Awesome. Okay.
What are you thinking, paying people for labor? That's almost capitalism.
Oh, okay. So it's Anime Day, and I do a lot of things of the day about Mario.
Yeah, you had your furikake thing the other day.
Yeah, that one wasn't so great, but it was something. And I guess, a lot of the Mario things I do are commercials or video game things or someone acting out a live-action Mario. There's been like 2 or 3 of those. I do a lot of Mario things today. It's crazy. So I got another one.
Great.
Just to add to the glut of Mario things of the day. This one, though, is kind of crazy. I didn't even know it existed. It's an entire Mario anime.
God damn, is this like a movie or an OAV or what?
I can't tell.
When was this made?
I don't know.
Why didn't we know about it until just now?
I don't know, but it's old. It's got to be 70s, 80s time. Oh, no, wait. It can't be 70s. Mario didn't exist in the 70s.
No, he didn't.
It's got to be mid to late 80s, early 90s at the latest. And it looks like a movie, so given that the production quality looks about equal to the Mario Super Show, which is TV in the early 90s, I'm thinking this is an 80s movie.
I think you forget how absolutely piss poor the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was.
I don't think you understand how piss poor this anime looks.
Well, the only problem I see with it is Luigi.
You mean blue and yellow Luigi?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Blue. You need to mix the blue and the yellow ink together to get the green, people. That's how it works.
Luigi kind of reminds me of Lupin a little bit. Just the way the voice actor is and the way Luigi seems to act.
I guess kind of, barely.
Like a little bit, like I thought of Lupin.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until you said something, and then it was like, okay, maybe the tiniest bit. Anyway, this is pretty humorous, even without subtitles, but you're not going to be able to see the whole thing. On YouTube, there are only 3 parts. The pre-credits, the credits in the beginning part, and then a little bit more of the beginning part, and then that's it. They don't have the rest of the movie on YouTube yet.
But obviously someone has this movie somewhere.
And someone should fan sub it, because right now, watching it without subtitles, I can only get so much of the plot. But there's some crazy stuff in there. There's Luigi raiding casinos and coins, and everyone eating magic mushrooms, and
they're working in some sort of grocery store.
Yeah, and there's a giant paratrooper that brings into a paratrooper nest, and there's more magic mushrooms. And we're not just talking about the mushrooms that make you big. We're talking about all kinds of magic mushrooms here. I think it looks to me like they're trying to figure out which mushrooms are poison and which ones aren't. And Luigi's being stupid and eating all the mushrooms. And yeah. What I like about it, though, is it definitely only includes Super Mario Brothers. It doesn't have regular Mario Brothers. There's no PAL blocks. It doesn't have Doki Doki Panic. It doesn't have Mario 3 or World. It's just Super Mario Brothers. Mushrooms and fire flowers and stars.
We really need to figure out more about this.
I think this needs some research, but you know what? I'm willing to bet someone's going to post all the answers in our forum, so if you want to know the answers.
Yep, and if not, I imagine someone will make a wiki.
A wiki, huh?
Which may or may not be deleted.
Yep.
Like the Juggernaut bitch one was recently.
Yeah, I think
for the second time.
I think the haha wiki and the O'Reilly wiki are still there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think they won't let any meme get on Wikipedia, but some memes are just so widespread and so well known that they warrant intellectual discussion. At least that seems to be the general opinion of the editors of Wikipedia.
Yeah, there was some other meme I was looking for in Wikipedia that just wasn't there.
Which one?
I forget.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Are you sure it was a thing? Are you sure it wasn't nothing?
I'm sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
All right. So, my thing of the day is related to the main topic of today's show, which is my trip to Animazement. Now, I'll talk about this when
Was it Animazing?
You know what? I actually forgot that I was going to say that in every episode until you said it. You have inadvertently done my bidding. Wait till I talk about the musical, which I'm going to talk about later, because there is a joke there, too. But anyway, Animazement, I almost said Animazing, has this thing they do every year. Like, every con has their little thing, like the thing that makes them stand out, or their cool thing, or the thing they do really well, or the thing people say, oh, like Otakon, they always have the musical guest, or Katsucon has the awesome cosplay, or Anime Central has the Iron Guest competition. Animazement's thing is there's a bunch of people who put on an anime musical every year. Apparently, this has started recently, and it's pretty badass. But the thing they did this year was, and this is my thing of the day, they did a musical on how to run an anime convention and what is involved in anime conventions as a whole. The title, I believe, was It Seemed Like a Good Idea at the Time. Now, they did, in one point, they're making fun of the music video, AMV bits. And they have an AMV contest, and the 2 judges are sitting there. They actually went through the trouble of making the anime music videos that they then showed in the musical to make fun of anime music videos. High production values and everything. They got whoever did it knows what they're doing, and they made high quality, good music videos to weird German music and terrible anime, but very well done. I mean, what I expected was, all right, they're probably gonna have like 10 Dragon Ball Z Linkin Park videos, or okay, they're gonna do like a million Ava videos, or something Naruto making fun of AMVs and why they're bad nowadays. They did that, but they did it with this weird German polka music, and at the end, like the last 4 videos, all are to the exact same song, like this, and it's just hilarious.
It's actually somewhat reminiscent of what actually happens at anime music video competitions. I remember, I think it was Otakon 2 years ago, the AMV competition, all the videos were really fancy with all sorts of special effects and high production value. Like, someone spent a long time making those things with fancy software they may have paid for or pirated.
Yep.
But the videos themselves just weren't good.
Yep, but these were bad on purpose, at least. Like, they went out of their way to make them terrible.
Ah.
And it was fantastic. The best one is the very first one they show is to Char, as in, Char's counterattack. Char from Gundam, guy in the mask, old school. But it's to that same German polka thing. And it's just hilarious. The thing I'm linking to is the forum post in the Animazement forums where they're going to eventually post the actual music videos that they showed. Currently it is just a discussion of them. I tried to find a link to it. No one has put it up on the internets yet. And I wasn't about to go bother the people responsible.
How come some things take negative time to get on the internet? Like, you go and someone already put it up before you even thought to look for it. And sometimes people take forever, and it's like a year later it comes up out of the woodwork, and you're like, what the hell? This isn't, I don't even care anymore.
Well, I think the reason here is that they also filmed the musical itself, and they're trying to put together a thing to have it available.
Yeah, but here's the thing is, making something like that available isn't really difficult. If they put someone like me in charge of it, I would have had it available before the con was over.
Well, no,
why does it take people so long to do this sort of thing?
One, video is a lot harder to edit and deal with than audio. Two, they also have to deal with audio, which was spotty at best.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're making an anime music video, then yes, video takes a long time to edit and all that. But if you're videotaping an event, and you only have one camera. Now, if you have 3 cameras, then there's editing, because you have to choose which cameras for which scenes.
Well, there's editing anyway, because there were, some delays between scene changes and bits when the crowd was unruly that, I got to edit out. And they got to splice in, because, they were filming it, and there were actors on stage doing their thing. But then when they did the AMVs, they showed them on a screen.
Oh, well, they had the AMVs
Yeah,
already,
and they're going to put them up shortly.
Yeah. Still.
I mean, I got to note that I'm still recovering from this frickin' con. I'm sure the other staffers are. Hey, if you were there, I got almost no sleep.
Even so.
Yeah, plus I commute now, and unlike you, I actually do work at work.
I do kind of.
No,
I did a
don't.
work at work today. It took me less than a minute to do the work that someone told me to do today.
I actually drove around the Bronx plugging things into other things and then writing things down about them.
Well, that's not very difficult.
Yeah, but it's time consuming, and I can't just take a nap like I used to be able to do at IBM.
Yeah,
or just
I don't take
early.
naps at work. I just kind of
Yeah, I kind of miss. I mean, for the last 3 weeks at IBM, I would show up late every day, and I left early every day, and I took a long lunch, and I still got all the work done that I would have gotten done anyway. It made me realize that I probably could have worked about 4 hours a day and still done everything they ever wanted me to do.
Man, I could work an hour a week and do everything I'm doing now. I wish they would give me a new project. If they don't give me, I'm going to start looking for a new job. For real. Not just talking. I'm not going to be a shit talker anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
We'll see.
We will see.
All right. So today is Anime Day. Well, it's also Manga Comics Day because we're going to be covering other conventions next weekend and such. But today I am covering Animazement, which I alone went to this year, though I think next year I'm going to drag a whole bunch of my crew along because Animazement was freaking awesome. When I go to a con, because I've been to a lot of cons, I have a level of expectations based on what I've heard, what I see on their website, and everything. And I don't want to sound mean, but I had middling to low expectations of Animazement.
I also had a similar expectation.
Like, it seemed like this kind of small Southern convention. Like, I'd never even been to the Carolinas.
I expected it to be somewhat similar in size and structure to, say, OhioCon when we went, only I assumed it would be a slightly larger and slightly better run.
Now, like Katsucon basically meets or slightly beats expectations. I mean, I like Katsucon, but it's pretty much what I expect. Compared to what I expected, Animazement blew me away, first off. And second, regardless of my expectations, Animazement was awesome enough to where I am more than willing to go back there every year despite the massive expense of flying all the way out there.
It's not that far out there.
Yeah, but all told, it cost me a lot more money to go to Animazement than it's cost me to go to any other con ever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Otakon cost us very little considering, how we take care of the hotel rooms. Katsucon is super, super expensive, but that's just because the hotel costs a lot and there are only like 3 of us in it.
We should go to PAX on the cross-country super trip.
God, that would kill us.
We should do it anyway.
Yeah, not this year.
I got it. I'll quit my job right after, and then I'll be able to do it.
Well, if you do that and I'll give you my little recording bit and you get coverage of the cross-country thing.
God.
Yeah.
If I do it, though, I'm going to have to bring some strange gamers in my car.
Yeah. You could deal with that.
Yeah.
If they'll fit.
If I won't kill them along the way.
Yeah. But anyway, Animazement is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, it's actually in, I believe, Durham, North Carolina, which is right next to Raleigh.
Raleigh-Durham is the same. It's one place.
It's like how Anime Central is in Chicago, but it's actually in Rosemont, but they're the same. Same deal. And it was Memorial Day weekend. I was there for 5 days. I mean, I left Thursday, and I came back Monday. So it was basically a week-long vacation for me. And the convention was awesome. I went because a good friend of ours, Nuri, she has been on the show at least once, and we're going to talk to her again sometime soon, hopefully. She invited me to Animazement to, do a panel like I always do. I do the same panel at every freaking con. And I said yes, and I kind of forgot about it. And then she reminded me, and the other guy who was going reminded me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that thing. So I went and bought my plane tickets, and I took care of all my stuff, and I took the plane out there. I'm not going to... Now, from this point forward, I will do my typical convention coverage style, which is semi-chronological. It seemed to work pretty well for Katsucon. I will ignore all of my travel, because traveling will be covered tomorrow when I rail about the airline industry and how much I hate it.
I can talk about how many things in the airline industry are stupid, but I am awesome when it comes to airplanes, and you all suck.
No problem I've ever had with an airline has had anything to do with me. And actually,
I've avoided many problems that airlines would have caused me by being me.
Yeah, the one time I had a major problem with airlines was mostly because I had to fly somewhere over a holiday, when normally I refuse to travel on holidays, and I'll visit my family on other times when there aren't a billion mouth breathers in the airport.
I've traveled during busy holiday season on 2 occasions with no problem.
Yeah, because you fly places where JetBlue goes. I fly places where there's no JetBlue.
Because I'm not stupid.
Yeah, you see, I really can't fly to Detroit any other way. There's no JetBlue there.
Don't go to Detroit.
But that's where my family is.
Son, tell your family to move.
Yeah. Anyway, so I arrived Thursday night. And this is the one thing, I mean, I'll say this a bunch of times, but Animazement is a small con that has all the niceties of a large con. It is the best that a small con can be as far as I'm concerned. And along those lines, they have Thursday night registration, which many cons do not have or added recently. And I didn't bother with that because I was a panelist, and I became staff very shortly as a result after some things that I'll talk about later. But I got there Thursday, and it was really kind of sedate. There were a few cosplayers wandering the halls. I sat in the artist alley and watched people sign up for tables and set up and check in and do all their stuff. Very uneventful. However, unlike most cons who have a Thursday check-in, Animazement had stuff going on Thursday. They had some karaoke going on in one room, and I think they were showing something in another room. Like, not a lot. Definitely not a con. But there was stuff to do if you were there Thursday night.
Whoa. The most I concede going on a Thursday night at a con would be swimming in the hotel pool and DS battles.
Yep.
The fact that they actually had a con-sponsored event Thursday is crazy.
Well, remember, because it's a small con, it's still in a hotel. Hotel cons can go 24/7, and there's no rules, really. So if they have the place reserved Thursday night, they can just use it. Otakon, they have to kick you out at 2 a.m. no matter what.
Yep, but it's all good.
Yeah. Though I do remember our mini Otakon in the hotel pool last year.
Woohoo!
Thursday night.
Ring, ring, ring.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
We'll talk about that some other time.
I believe we already talked about it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have some banana phone stories from this con.
Oh, great.
Now, Friday, the business started. I got there pretty ass early because Nuri, who was the person who was basically taking care of me this weekend, since she invited me out, her and Evan, she had to be there to do the Artist Alley stuff because she was staff. And I needed a ride to the con, so I went with her at the crack of early morning. Well, crack of early morning, like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, the butt crack of dawn.
Yeah. But we get there, and I help out and set stuff up, and I have my little badge. And then they give me a little security badge, and they're like, hey, could you go help us with this line over here? Because I kind of volunteered to do that sort of thing. So I walked over to all these people milling around, and I put them in line to get into the dealer's room. They were trying to get into the dealer's room. It wasn't open yet. And I just did my thing, the thing I've been doing at the RT Anime Club for how many years, the thing that I did at Katsucon, crowd control, stuff that, while it sounds silly, Scott and I really know how to do that stuff. Like, we're good at it.
Hey, you fools, get your asses in line.
But even the little things, like how to set up a line, like how to make the gap so the fire marshal doesn't get mad, or how to keep people from cutting, or how to get people to actually listen to you as opposed to just ignore you.
Yeah, that's one thing, is that this typical grumpy security guy, he doesn't work so well when, in terms of, if you're a typical grumpy paid security guy, you do one thing really well. You prevent people from being violent and stealing and all those sorts of things.
Sir, I'm going to need you to move along.
Exactly. That's pretty much all you can do.
Or my
my
favorite con security person ever. Remember the TMR concert at Otakon way back? All of your cell phones and pagers.
That wasn't con security. That was an Otakon staff person who was not pleasant.
Yes, but she was Otakon has a weird staff structure, but at this con, security and staff were kind of synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, staffers had jobs, but then there were staffers who were security.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given a little security thing, and I took care of this line. And then the staffers started coming over, and they were basically like, wow.
Admiring your line.
Like, wow, that was a really good line. And over the next few hours, I was basically promoted to full-on staff, and I became, like, the security dude.
They gave you, you did such a good job on that line. Here, take care of all our lines.
Yeah, and you know what? It was freaking great because I hate it.
Yeah, you know what all the Animazement people were thinking? Haha, we got that chump to take care of all the lines.
Well,
That's what they were thinking.
It's more that I really like being staff at things like this. I mean, it's gotten to the point with conventions where if I'm not going to the con for something other than just going as a fan, I'm really usually not going to enjoy myself. I'm not that kind of fan anymore. And I really get most of my enjoyment out of, I guess, giving back or like being the person who provides all this stuff to people as opposed to being the one who consumes it. I'm slowly becoming a provider of services as opposed to a consumer of them.
Yeah, a lot of the services at cons have already been provided, so they're no longer entertaining. But, at a lot of cons, there's all, I always do something new that I haven't done at cons before. Eventually, it'll run out, but not yet.
Yeah, it's run out for me, but I've been to a lot more cons than Scott has, mainly because I was living alone and bored for a long time, so I went to every freaking con I could get my hands on.
Uh-huh.
And plus, also, I ran that RIT Anime Club for so long, and I really liked it, and I guess I'm kind of an attention whore. A little. I like to be in charge. A bit. I like to be...
A whole lot?
Well, it's mostly that I like to be in charge of things, because I know that usually I can run them well, and it bothers me when I see something run poorly when I know that it could have been done well.
Oh, that bothers me, also the most.
Yeah.
When you see someone doing a job that you could do that job, and it's like when you watch someone play Mario 1 and run into the first Goomba. That's what it's like. You're like,
yep.
Oh my God. Or when you see someone playing Mario and maybe they're doing just fine, but they're not holding B to make Mario run fast. It's like, you are so,
Yeah.
Or someone puts a piece in the wrong place in Tetris. It's the same feeling. Oh, why aren't you getting these people to line up properly? Why don't you know how to do it? What's wrong with you?
Yep. And as a result, because it bothers me so much, Scott is more immune to this because he seems to have avoided most responsibility in most of his life. But I love it. I mean, I like being that guy. I like being the guy who takes care of things. I like being in charge. And it's worked out pretty well for me. And I've slowly, like every con I go to now, I'm a panelist or I'm a staffer or I'm some sort of press guy or I'm something.
The trick is to do all those things without making any promises. That way you can't be the target of blame.
True. But the thing is, being security, you really have to accept the fact that you will be blamed if something horrible happens.
Yeah.
But it worked out really well because the crowd was big. Like, it was bigger than they expected. A lot of extra people showed up this year. And there were some lines that really needed someone to take care of them or else bad things could have happened. Now, Saturday is the day when I can talk about the big line where I gained a bunch of fans and I even signed an autograph. Yeah.
All right.
I became very popular among...
But our signatures are terrible.
I know, my signature is a scribble with another scribble.
Mine is also 2 scribbles with some big scribbles towards the left edges of each scribble.
Yeah. But I started doing the security thing, and basically for the entire con, I mean, I enjoyed myself and I did a couple events, but mostly I walked around and made sure that everything was running smoothly and that no one, was doing anything stupid. Now, fun stupid was fine.
It's an anime convention. This is someone doing something stupid every which way.
Actually, people always say, Southern hospitality and Southern, politeness and all that, and just how people are down there. And I gotta say, the people I had to deal with at this convention, from the security standpoint, were the most polite, well-mannered kids I have ever run afoul of. When I asked people to stand in line, they would be like, oh, all right, great. And they'd stand in line and be like, is this good enough?
Are you sure they weren't being like, is this good enough for you, Mr. Liney, huh?
No, they really were. They, everyone, I didn't have to yell at anyone ever for the entire convention. Now, contrast that with Katsucon, where I did security, where half the con was, sir, please, you can't stand in front of the fire exit. Move. No, move. No, yes, you. And I don't ever want to do security at Katsucon again. Luckily, we're guests at Katsucon next year, most likely.
All right.
Or at least panelists again. There's no way I would ever do security there again. But I will be staff forever at Animazement if they'll have me back because it was fun. And I really got along with the staff. I'll talk about that all at the end when I talk about the after party. Now, as for the con itself, Animazement's main thing that it seems to have going for it is that they have awesome guests. As in, they have a whole bunch of cool Japanese guests and whatever American voice actor and such guests they can get. But the really cool thing is that the Japanese guests, many of them come every year because they like this con. And all of the Japanese guests that come really, you see at Otakon or Katsucon, when you have the guests, they always have their entourage around them, or they're always kind of shielded from the con goers except for an autograph session, and they stay in a different hotel and they're protected.
Well, that's because mostly Otakon specifically, if you let a Japanese guest out into the open, that there are just so many people. At a small con, they might be safe because at worst, 5 fanboys come up and bother them.
Yeah.
Because that's just how many people will care enough to go up and make some mischief. But at Otakon, the sheer numbers of people that will just, mob and start being stupid fanboys is insane. And that's why they have to do it that way.
Yeah, but
I'm sure they don't like doing it that way.
I guess the difference here is that this is a con that has the kind of guests that a big con would get. I mean, Akira Kamiya was there, and that man is my freaking hero.
All right, what does he do?
Oh, he was the voice of people in old anime that I like that you either haven't heard of or don't care about.
Awesome.
Oh, though he was Roy Fokker.
Oh, wait, the Roy Fokker guy?
He was...
So he's the Toga guy.
He was, I'm trying to think of all the weird ones that people might not have heard
No,
of.
that's the guy who is Toga, and because it's all the same guy, isn't it?
I'm trying to think of all the weird ones. He was Professor Tomoe in Sailor Moon, which was I'm a big fan of Professor Tomoe.
Okay.
He was Shotaro Mendao from Urusei Yatsura, who is another one of my favorite characters. He was also, now I didn't know this, apparently he's also a dub voice actor for American movies that get taken over to Japan.
Ooh, it's pretty cool.
He was Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child, and he was Mel Gibson in Tequila Sunrise.
I don't know what either of those are, but that's okay.
The Golden Child's actually kind of a crappy movie. Oh, he was Bond. He is the voice of Bond in Japan.
James Bond?
Yeah, in 007 GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies.
Awesome.
He was Bond. Now, the thing is, he's a really cool guy, and he did a panel on voice acting. Now, you know, normally you see a panel on voice acting, and it's always like some amateurs or like some people talking about voice actors. This was him, like, training the audience. Here is how to be a good voice actor. This and this and this and this and this. It was really awesome. Like, I haven't been to a panel that I've enjoyed at a con in a long time, and this guy put on one hell of a panel. But they have a whole bunch of fairly big name guests, like cool people that you'd only see at a big con. But they're this little con, so there's a good chance you'll see them wander in the hall. You can shake their hand or say hi to them. If you know Japanese or their translators around, you can talk to them. There was Koichi Tsunoda, who was I'm trying to think of one of the. He did some stuff for Mazinger Z and Galaxy Express 999.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to list all the guests. You can look that up, but they were all awesome.
That's one thing I notice about cons is you know I always look at someone's resume when deciding if they're a guest I care about or not, and says, "Oh, this guy was a character designer on blah," and I'm kind of like, I don't really care about character designing, but they never tell you if the person is cool or if that's what it's really about. Is this is a cool person? Who cares what they did?
Yeah, and here all the guests were really cool. I mean, they were kind of big names, but they really had a lot of interesting stuff to say. And they were really cool about the autograph sessions. Like Caitlin Glass, she's a voice actress and a director and all this stuff. And some poor girl in the artist alley had her sketchbook stolen with all of her prints, except they left a couple of them in there. And one of them was this original thing of a character that she had played. Actually, it was Winry from Full Metal Alchemist in the dub. And the fan gave it to the staff to give to her as a gift. Like, this is my last thing that I have from everything that was stolen. I want to give it to you because it's your character. Aw. And it ended up being where she actually got to meet Caitlin Glass and hang out with her a little bit, and it was really cool and happy.
All right.
But all the voice actors were just walking around the con, hanging out at the after party. They were talking to anyone who wanted to talk to them. They seemed to enjoy themselves. Now, aside from that, the actual panels, one other neat thing about Animazement is that they really focus a lot on Japanese culture and language. And apparently they do a lot of outside of con stuff, like funding Japanese studies and funding schools where people can learn about this stuff. So all of their panels really have an educational bent to them. I went to this one panel on geisha, as in, like Maiko and geisha and that sort of thing from Japan. And it was a very informative, very awesome panel. I'm not sure what else I can say about that.
It's good to hear that there were a lot of interesting panels, because usually I look at the list of panels, and most of them are kind of blah, I don't care. I've seen a webcomic panel before. You've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yep.
That sort of thing. And, the first time I went to Otakon, I went to, the industry panel where, they had the Trigun guy was there. And it actually isn't so exciting. The only important part of going is when they announce new things, and you can just read that on Anime News Network the next day.
Yep, the only things that are worth going to are where the guest is cool or the person talking has something interesting to say.
Yeah, and don't discount someone, because I did this a lot, is you discount someone, you look at their resume of what they are, this guy did this, and you're like, oh, who cares about that guy? But then if you actually go see the guy, he's way cool, and that's why those panels are crowded. And you used to think, oh, why is that panel crowded? And sometimes it is because, oh, he's the American voice actor for some character, and all the teenage girls are going, eek, whenever he talks in the voice. But some of the panelist guys are actually, and girls are super cool.
Now, I do have to say that one panel that was particularly awesome was the Anime Club Summit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know what Akira Kamiya did? Non sequitur. In when they took Aladdin over to Japan, he was Iago.
Really?
Yeah, really. It says right here.
Yeah, you should have seen this guy in person. This is just to clarify, this is not the Toga guy. That's and
Because the guy who's Toga in Utena and Takahashi Ryosuke in Initial D is not this guy.
Yeah, this guy is just awesome. If you ever, well, one, I think he's going to be an Animazement next year. I wouldn't be surprised. If you ever see him at a con, go to whatever he does because it's always awesome.
He was Logan in Logan's Run in Japan.
Like, not to, like, all the other guests were really cool. I'm not really trying to downplay all of them, but this guy is my hero. This guy's my man. Now, other highlights, because I realize we've been talking for a long time.
You've been talking for a long time.
Yeah, mostly me. There was just a bunch of little highlights about the con, and then I'll go back to some more long, detailed diatribes. Now, my Anime Club Summit panel was scheduled at 9 a.m. on Saturday, which meant I had to get up early again.
I hate it when cons really need to start asking the person running the panel,
Well, I was fine with it because they didn't really know what to expect from me. I mean, I was just some guy that some staffer said was cool and they should let come to the con and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, all right, and they scheduled me there, and I did the panel. And actually, when I started, there was one person in the audience.
Great.
The thing is, she was really interested in what I had to say, so we talked a little bit. And then a few minutes later, more people trickled in, and then more people trickled in. And then a freaking gaggle of people came in. And at one point, this mother and a whole bunch of like high school girls came in. And they were interested. They were trying to start an anime club at their high school. And they came to my panel specifically to hear my wisdom. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting experience to be giving this lecture and having all these high school age people taking notes. I felt like a teacher.
Whoa, scary.
But
at least they were taking notes. A lot of people don't listen to what we had to say at those panels.
Yeah. Well, at this one, I mean, it's like the Otakon one where we do the same thing. The people who came were people who actually wanted to know about this stuff. And I think the panel went really well. I'm going to try to run it next year with Scott Johnson, the legendary Scott Johnson.
Dun, dun, dun.
And one interesting thing I noticed about Animazement is there was a disproportionately large number of both furry fans and Dolphy fans. I have no statement to make regarding that, other than that there was a significant number of furries and there was a significant number of Dolphys. Take that as you will.
Yeah.
They were definitely not an overpowering force, and I have nothing against them other than, no offense to people who are into Dolphy, it's cool, but it's also a little creepy. But yeah. I know you're not all creepy. I think it's just that I notice the creepy ones because they're the ones who treat the doll like it's a little tiny human being.
I think when you spend that kind of money on a doll, if you're not going to be crazy enough to treat it like a human being, then you're going to recognize how stupid you were for spending the money and hate yourself and sell it to someone who is insane. And that's why the only ones you notice are insane, because they think the only ones are insane.
Honestly, the only Dolphy people that really scare me are the ones who are J-Rock types and Dolphy types combined. Because then the Dolphy turns into like this idol avatar of whatever J-Rocker they currently have the hots for, and it gets kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to interview some Dolphy people about their Super Dolphy, and I failed mostly because I'm not sure if they didn't want to talk to me or if they're just that antisocial. I really couldn't tell, but I couldn't approach them in a way where I could ask them if they wanted to be interviewed.
Huh.
At least without breaking all of my social, I guess, rules.
Which are?
How some people, like, they give off the body language of don't talk to me? All the Dolphy people I wanted to talk to constantly exuded that aura. Kind of like those board gamers I tried to talk to that I talked about yesterday. The one group of people who were playing a semi-German board game at Animazement.
Yep.
Now, more overview stuff. The dealer's room was about what you'd expect. It was a typical dealer's room, though there was a game seller who had German board games. There were the two typical guys selling knives and swords, which luckily I didn't have to deal with anyone buying a sword and then running around the con with it.
That's always a worry. I remember at Otakon, the kid who came up to me, and he was like, "Hey man, how old are you?" And I'm like, "Why is this guy asking me how old I am? Does he want me to buy him alcohol?" He's like, I'm like, 22. What are you coming out to me, punk kid? And he's like, will you buy a sword for me? And I just said, no, get the hell away from me. But what I should have said was, how much does a sword cost? And then he would have said something along the lines of $75. I don't know. And I would have said, give me $200 and I'll buy you the sword. And then I would have bought the sword. And then he would have come up to me and said, give me my sword. And they'd be like, why should I give you the sword I just bought? And if he would have said something, I would have been like, who here is holding a sword? Who here should keep their mouth shut? And if anyone comes up to me at Otakon next year asking me to buy them a sword, I am totally doing that. Not even joking.
All right.
And if they're stupid enough to give me a pile of money, I might not even buy a sword. I'll just take the money. And be like, the kid gave me $200. Around for me.
Now, in regards to cosplay, there were a surprising number of Jigens from Lupin.
Really?
For some reason, there were at least 4 of them, maybe 5. I'm not entirely sure if there were 4 or 5. There were at least 4. There were 2 Lupin groups, each of which had their own Jigen, plus just Jigens on their own.
Jigen's always been a moderately popular cosplay, but what is with that number at that small of a con either means there's some sort of local Lupin interest or something, because Lupin hasn't been on Cartoon Network in a while.
Yeah, but Lupin is real popular among people who know about it.
Lupin is real popular among people who know about it, but how are, more people? I don't know.
There was also a very large number of Rukias.
I don't know who that is.
There was an awesome Bato.
Yeah, Bato.
And my favorite 2 cosplays at the con. Number 1. Well, number 2. I'll start with number 2. My second favorite cosplay at this convention was a bunch of guys who dressed up as Fark.com. They had a whole bunch of big pieces of paper that basically had Fark posts on them that were like they were in an anime thread. Really owls and ha-has.
There were ha-has and really owls for real?
And everything. Every cliche
Squirrels
you could think
with
of.
big nuts.
It was, and the thing is, they had markers and pieces of paper, and they kept making more posts and walking around constantly. There was a point at which they were entertaining a small portion of the cosplay line for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I would have interviewed them, but I was standing in a tree, which I'll get to in a minute.
I thought you already talked about the tree when I wasn't paying attention.
I don't think I talked about it fully.
Okay.
The other awesome, number 1 thing was someone dressed up as Jameson.
Yeah, if you don't know who Jameson is, you got to be watching some Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Yeah, Jameson, the costume was really well done. It could have been done better, but the concept alone was worth more than enough.
There's a picture of it on Fans View. Maybe we'll link to it.
The item itself was really high quality, and the way he did it was really cool. And I like costumes like that, like the unique costume that isn't what you'd think or what you'd expect. You wouldn't expect anyone to dress up as him. If someone said that, you'd say, you couldn't dress up as that. That's stupid. And the way he did it
That's not what I would say. I would say, oh, I never would have thought to do that. The guy's awesome for thinking of that first.
Well, the way he did it was instead of being Jameson, he made a Jameson, and he pulled it around, and he dressed up himself as Jameson's assistant.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Though I got to give props again to the Bato, because he did the perfect Bato smile. Hey. There was also this little kid. He was 7 years old, and he was dressed up as a very good, cute Link.
Man, all the little kid cosplays kind of freak me out. Like when the mom is dragging around a little Mega Man, a little Proto Man. I'm always kind of like, yay, Mega Man and Proto Man.
Well, at least in this case, it was definitely this kid's idea. This kid is all about Link and all about anime.
Okay.
Yeah, and his mom is like, yeah, he's getting into this stuff, and I gave her some recommendations of what to watch. Actually,
shows.
I talked to a lot of parents. Animazement is it's probably the most family-friendly con I've ever seen.
Really? Because Otacon's pretty family-friendly. They just keep the families sequestered in like 1 or 2 rooms far away from all the craziness.
Yeah, but you couldn't just let a 13-year-old wander Otakon without worrying as a parent.
A lot of people do, but
yeah, but a lot of people don't. Yeah, Otakon is a mess. And you couldn't really drag a 7-year-old around Otakon. They would get crushed.
That's why you bring them to the little Oda kindergarten.
Yep, Oda, I forget what they call it.
I also forget what they call it. They call it Oda something.
Yeah, it's a funny little name.
Oda Kids.
Oda-chan.
Oda-chan, that's it.
But Animazement, there were a lot of parents there who were taking their kids to their first anime con.
No, remember at UberCon we talked to that cool dad.
Yeah,
who
we
read
did.
Uncle Scrooge comics.
But I talked to a whole bunch of parents, and I interviewed a bunch of them about it, and overwhelmingly, they were all they could say is that none of them watched the anime. Like, with few exceptions, most of the parents don't have any idea what this anime stuff is about. They're not interested in it at all. But they know their kids are into it. They're happy their kids are into it because now that they've gone to these conventions, they've seen that the kids who were into it seem to be very smart, polite, interesting, not druggies, not losers.
Mm-hmm.
Half the parents said things along the lines of, at least they're not into drugs.
They're just perverted.
Now, I did find it interesting
Sex-crazed,
that
nymphomaniac, hormone-enraged teens.
none of the parents knew what yaoi and yuri and hentai were, but their kids definitely did. All I have to say is, ha ha.
You should have told the parents what yuri, yaoi, and hentai meant.
Nah, because I wasn't going to do that to these kids. These kids seem to have their stuff together.
You know what? We should do it to just one to see what happens.
Wow. We're like, has your daughter ever mentioned to you yaoi? She's like, oh yeah, she says it's her favorite book or whatever. Do you know what yaoi is? Yeah, it's robots and nurses and shit.
I think you're really going to like it.
We could do a whole bit on that, explaining to parents what that is.
Maybe we should.
Huh.
Like as a public service thing. Because the problem here is that it's a really big problem for manga, actually, is that because that's where most of the yaoi that's in this country is. It's not, and hentai DVDs, but hentai DVDs, they check those. But the yaoi manga isn't checked as much because people don't recognize.
Well, you know what? How about we just do a show whenever we have a free Wednesday on like a parent's guide to anime?
That'd be good.
I think it'd be really good.
Yeah. But, the thing is that right now, the yaoi is real, and the shonen ai are popular with the teen girls. But parents don't realize what the kids are buying, and they're just like, oh, it's all manga stuff. And if someone sees, then... So, all manga might get a bad name because of the yaoi sneaking in, you see? So, in trying to avert this seeming inevitability of there being a big hate against manga, like there's a big hate against video games which are violent,
yeah,
we should try to, inform parents not all of it is yaoi. Just don't let your kid buy the shrink wrap stuff.
Yeah. That's pretty much the best rule.
Yep.
Now, I've talked a long time, so I'm probably going to try to wrap up this a little bit, because I could talk for many hours about all the crazy things that happen. I guess I'm going to turn half of my stories from this con into geek fables for future Thursdays.
Great.
Because they're very generic and very just funny. Like my adventure of trying to get food with Evan on Friday.
Oh, food.
It turned into like the worst ordeal of the entire convention.
Wasn't there a nearby food place?
Oh, I'll talk about it someday.
Okay.
Oh, good God. Now, to its credit, it ended with me getting some good shawarma.
Shawarma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some highlights from my duty as security. At one point, I heard a large group of people going, da na 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 na, getting louder and louder and louder.
Gee, I wonder what could be going on over there.
I turn and I see a bunch of kids with a beach ball and some duct tape and some saran wrap, and they're rolling this beach ball around, and then they come across some garbage and they tape it to the beach ball, and they continue.
At least they're keeping the con clean.
Now, of course, I let them keep doing it because basically, Animazement is probably the laxest in terms of keeping kids out of it, not out of trouble, but keeping kids in line of any major con I've gone to. I mean, they let the kids get away with a lot more. They just really stop them if they do anything dangerous or stupid or anything that could cause a problem. But if kids are just being loud, they just kind of let them roam free and get it all out of their systems. And it was kind of refreshing. I mean, I was allowed to let kids do things that I thought were cool, that if they tried to pull that stuff at Otakon or Katsucon, I have to stop them. Like this Katamari thing. Now, I let him go and I forgot about it. The next night, the Katamari ball had grown substantially.
That's what Katamaris tend to do.
I don't know how they fit it out the door of the hotel. But apparently they're going to take it to every con they go to for the rest of the summer.
Who's going to store it at their house?
Someone has a truck. They've got it all taken care of. Like, I interviewed the kid about it. They have got this planned.
We'll see how good they are.
Yeah.
See, that's how you tell the quality of people. Is you come if it was us making that Katamari ball, you would see that Katamari ball at every goddamn convention for sure. We would have a storage shack rented out. But that's how you tell is if someone sucks, then they'll say, "Yeah, we're gonna do this." They'll come up with a plan, and then they won't. It'll fall apart and just crumble. That's sucky people.
Yep. So my litmus test here is, I'm not going to search for them, but if I hear about their Katamari ball again, I will consider them a success.
Yep, I agree.
Now, at one point, some kids formed a conga line. And it was like 10 people, so whatever, and I let them go, and they're doing their little thing.
It came back as 100 people.
It came back because the con was this long, long line, basically, and everything was in this long line, long hallway. It went to the end of the con, it turned around, and now it was a danger. Now it was a mob that was running at full tilt in a conga line fashion.
Whoa, they can't run in a conga line. You have to have the nice, slow, cool conga line.
It was basically a line of fans kind of holding onto each other's backs, running full bore.
No.
Growing and growing and growing.
You're supposed to do the conga, and the guy in front needs maracas.
Now, at this point, I could not catch them because while I can run faster than a crowd like that, I can't run faster than a crowd like that through a crowd. And I was yelling at the end of it, I caught the end of it, and I was like, "You please just stop!" And luckily, they were all still going. So I basically set it up like a mirror. They were running toward one end of the con. There was a dead end over there. So I ran over and I waited, and it hit the wall. And if it was going to turn around, I was going to be like, "All right, you had your fun. That's enough." And luckily, they ran into the wall and kind of derailed into a mass.
Mm-hmm.
And it all collapsed. And actually, later on, like Saturday, because this happened Friday night, I was talking to another staffer, and they came up, and they were like, "Can we do the conga line again?" And she had the most brilliant idea. She said, "Yeah, you know what? If you guys can get one going around the entire outside of the hotel, that'd be really awesome." And I didn't see those kids for like an hour. That was brilliant.
Did they actually get it going around the outside of the hotel?
You know what? I don't actually know, but they tried, which meant they weren't bothering me. At one point, a bunch of guys decided to have their own mini rave. You know, every con has the dance. Well, every big con. They had a little boombox, and they set up in the middle of a hallway and started having a dance just in the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome, except for the fact that it was completely blocking off any sort of traffic.
Oh, no.
Now, I walked over, and I was like, guys, and they all look at me, and the music turns off with this look of like, "You're not going to stop us, are you?"
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "You guys are awesome. Could you take it around the corner to that big open space and do whatever you want?"
Oh, yeah.
I have never seen kids be that, thankful and happy, and they put on a cool little party for another hour at least.
Oh, no. Wait a minute.
Now, another group of people, I believe this was Saturday or Sunday, they decided that they were going to have this out of the blue. They did this, and they stood in the middle of a big hallway area, and they started having a revivalist church meeting.
You told me this.
Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible.
That is pretty terrible.
But no, it was actually a revivalist Church of the Leet Master.
Wait a minute. The Church of the Master?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think we ever told the story of the Church of the Master on this show.
Nope, we'll tell us the story of the Church of the Master in the future.
Yep, that'll be a geek fable, because the moral will be we should have bought the Church of the Master.
Yes, you should have bought the Church. Wheel of Morality. You should have bought the Church of the Master.
But what they were doing is they set up this little congregation, and they did like a typical Southern revivalist thing. Only
Can I get an
OM Jesus? And it was all funny and silly and totally in elite speak. Like one of them would read a serious sounding scripture-y thing, and then the other guy would be like, "OMG, WTF, Abraham." And it was really hilarious, and I give props to these guys. They also said, I interviewed them, that they're going to try and go around to other conventions and do the same thing and try to make it a thing. I give them the best of luck.
Yeah, as long as they're not using it as a Trojan to actually get some religion going on, it's all good.
Luckily, one of the guys involved was that way.
He was trying to Trojan horse it?
Yes. Now, fortunately, the rest of the people involved seemed very much of the mind that this is just funny and cool, and no more than that.
Yay! Oh, yeah!
And then, Animazement has one awesome thing that they do. Every con, the most painful experience ever is getting in line for the big event, or getting in line for the cosplay.
No, because I don't get in line for the...
Well, you get in line for the big event.
It depends.
Like the Laruku concert.
Well, that wasn't really a line.
That was a line.
Kind of.
The fact
It
that
was like a snake.
Animazement has a general no lines policy.
Snake.
And the way they did the
it's a
seating
snake.
for the cosplay and the musical was that they gave everyone who wanted numbers to get into the cosplay, like Otakon, you have a sticker. And at like 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, you can go to this desk at any time and get a sticker. And the sticker has a number, 1 through like 7. And an hour before the cosplay, or an hour before the musical, they'll set up these big poles that have numbers on the top from outside the con. And you were guaranteed to, if you have a number 1, you can stand by the number 1. And when they form the line for the cosplay, they take all the number 1s first. Then they take the number 2s, then they take the number 3s. So you don't have to stand in line, you just go over to your number right before they take them in. That way, you're standing in line without standing in line. It worked really well. The only drawback was that the musical was delayed somewhat for various technical difficulties. As a result, I was standing outside, and I realized that I was pretty much, for a bit of time, the only staffer anywhere, and there was a large, increasingly unruly mob. So I did what any sane man would do. I climbed a tree, and from there, dealt with the crowd. And I learned that there is one and only one way to get the attention of a crowd of geeks, and that is to yell Leroy.
There are other ways, but you yell something akin to Leroy.
It worked so well, it was amazing. I couldn't get their attention, so finally I yelled Leroy, and half the crowd yells Jenkins. And then they all looked around to try to figure out who yelled Leroy, and then they all saw me, and then I could do what I needed to do. And I got to say, that is the point at which I became a semi-celebrity among the people of the con. Because being in the tree, I had people call me such things. First, I was the tree guy. Then a bunch of girls started calling me the tree bishi. That was very fun. One girl gave me the second oddest compliment I've ever been given in a public place. Where her and her...
The second oddest?
Yes. I was told that I look like some guy she knows. And I was like, well, how should I take that? And she said, well, he looks like an elf. And I was like, all right, that's a compliment, right? And she's like, yes, very much. Because, I have my long hair, and I was, like, hanging in this tree. One group of people called me the Bishonen Dryad. Quotes. Exactly that. Two girls wanted to... They posed with me and had someone else take pictures. I signed an autograph for someone. Someone took a video of me standing in the tree. I don't know what it is.
Like?
It was just a really good climbing tree. Like, it had a nice spot I could stand on.
Oh, stand. So a pretty big branch.
Yeah. Oh. And at one point I had a megaphone up there.
How high was the lowest branch?
The lowest branch was about like shoulder height.
Oh, really?
It's little above shoulder height.
That's like great.
Yeah, it's like the perfect climbing tree.
That's like perfect.
Now
it's not so low that it's like a stepping stone, or like it's a staircase made of branches, but it's not so high that you have to do a pull-up to get on there.
Yeah. Now, second oddest compliment. Now, that's a statement that warrants some sort of explanation, I assume. I was once complimented by someone at RIT who said to me, and I quote exactly, "You walk like a vampire."
All right.
And she meant it as a compliment.
Freaky.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
Freaky larpers.
And to this day, I'm still not sure.
No.
I'm still not sure what that means.
It means freaky larpers want to do you. That's what it means.
Yeah.
You should run away very quickly because they want to take their golden goblet and put your blood in it and drink it.
Yep. But I got to say, it was real fun to have a crowd to, muck with. And actually, other staffers arrived at some point to help me. And then they did their awesome thing. The staff were all really awesome. Like, if any of you are listening to this, I have to give props. You guys pulled off one hell of a con, especially considering how few of you there were.
Yeah, I remember before the con, you were skeptical of the intelligence of the staff that you'd never met.
Yeah, because when I haven't met people who run, like, an event...
You just assume they're stupid.
Yeah, mostly because most events I've gone to were run terribly. The staff at Animazement are badass.
Most events are run terribly. There are some people running some event. Those people must be terrible.
Yep. But then,
until proven otherwise.
yeah, well, look at the New York Comic Con.
Dun dun dun.
The New York Comic Con.
New York Comic Con is run by a company that runs conventions.
And you know what? They suck.
Dun dun dun.
It's funny how the people who volunteer and do it just because they love doing it are always better than the people who are paid to do it.
Yeah.
I wonder. Well, no, I don't wonder. I know exactly why that is.
Open source. Dun, dun, dun.
I actually had to explain to some of the people at my new work because I was trying to explain, wait a minute, so you paid to fly to Raleigh so you could work security and talk at a convention, and they didn't pay you to do this. Why would you do that?
It's fun.
Yeah, but why would I do work like that for other people? People just don't get it. Now, the last thing I'd really like to talk about at Animazement is, I wouldn't say it was the highlight of the con because I couldn't really pick out one highlight. I had a freaking amazing time. Amazing. But last year, they did, I promised I would say Animazing at every day of this week. So I said it again. But the previous year, they did a musical. People got together and did a full-on musical to Evangelion that was supposedly hilarious. As a result, they decided to do one this year. And
did you talk about this as your thing of the day?
Yeah, I did. That's right. Well, anyway, to sum up, because I said I'd talk more about it, it was called, it seemed like a good idea at the time, and this con was called Animazement, so they did this parody musical about running a convention called Animosity. And it was utterly, utterly hilarious. I didn't get to interview the people who actually did it because I only ran into...
Did they actually have songs?
Yes, they were good.
Were there any spoken lines, or was it all singing?
Spoken lines and singing, like a typical Broadway musical.
All right.
And the scene changes were actually the funny... The scene changes consisted entirely of the lights would go down, they would move this potted plant from one part of the stage to another part, and then the lights would come back on with different people standing around. There is supposedly going to be a DVD or a video of the entire musical, and I will let you all know when that appears because this was freaking hilarious. I really can't...
I've heard tale of similar things at other conventions, and they're very popular because it's like most cosplays are a ragtag bunch of guys throw something together at the last second with people they met at the con.
Or they're the crazy professionals who can't do much because you only get a minute and 30 seconds to do your skit.
And you can't control the lighting, you can't control the audio, you can barely control anything. All you got is like a CD, costumes, maybe a set piece if you can move it really quickly, so it's got to be made of cardboard. I mean, remember the awesome Muppet Revolution thing at Otakon?
Yep, I've got a video of that.
They had to freaking whip it out and run through the skit so fast because they didn't have any other choice,
See, there's another nice thing. In the musical, they did the AMV thing. They also made fun of the cosplay. And for that, they had a whole bunch of actual cosplayers do actual cosplay skits. Which were ended with hilarity.
Because I bet you they were commenting on the cosplay skits, honestly.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
that sucked. Yeah. So, is that all your Animazement action?
Actually, while I have a lot more I could say, I'll probably just hold off and talk about them as stories in general as opposed to coverage of Animazement.
All right.
And while I also have all the interviews I did at Animazement, we don't have a Windows computer to get the interviews off so I can put them in this episode.
Oh, right.
So because they were mostly generic, I didn't ask so much about Animazement, but I asked about anime cons in general. Whenever I get a chance, I will use them for that. I asked a lot of people why they go to anime conventions, and I got a lot of very interesting answers.
You should send him over to those Anime World Order guys so he can do his search for the truth business that he keeps doing.
Oh, yeah. Or in the very least, I'll do a bit about my version of the truth and send it to him.
Ooh, yeah.
That'll be a good idea.
Yeah, it's an even better idea.
Because I interviewed a lot of people at Animazement.
And send him like Rim's search for the truth at Animazement.
The interviews were mostly awesome. Almost everyone I ran into was great. And other than one guy who... These two guys, I tried to interview them, and they were really excited. And one guy was giving me a normal interview, and they were both normal people. Like, they were smart, cool people. One guy, and he's from the Carolinas, like, he's a local, but he didn't have much of an accent. Once I turned the mic on, he started talking in the most horrid backwater, like Southern Alabama accent I've ever heard.
Some folk will never eat a skunk, but
Then again, some vocal like Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel.
Hey, Ma, get off the damn roof.
Ow, dang it. But the guy was doing it on purpose, and afterward he said something like, maybe it'll scare the Yanks away from the con. But he was really funny and cool, and he was just basically making fun of people who live down there who don't understand anime cons by pretending to be one of them. But once I turned the mic off, he turned back into a normal person and told me what he really thought.
Yeah, all right. This weekend, as in June 4th, I guess?
Yeah, give or take.
Let's see, tomorrow's June 1st, Friday's 2nd, so 3rd, right? Today's Wednesday, Thursday.
Whatever, this weekend.
Right. This Saturday, Rim and Scott will be attending Wizard World Philadelphia as normal con-goers.
Yeah, so at best, we're going to be like kind of press, but without any of the press credentials.
Yeah, we're going to be walking around, and we're going to talk to some other podcasters that'll be there. We'll be with our friends. We'll be buying comic books.
We'll be interviewing people.
We'll be talking to comic book guys. You know,
we'll
probably won't go to any panels. We might not even stay there all day because it's not the biggest con.
Yeah, and we'll just jump over to the Jersey Shore as soon as we're done.
Yeah, we're going to make like the once through, then we'll make the twice through where you go digging through all the 50-cent bins and the dollar bins for the cheap comics, and then we're out. So if you are near the Philadelphias, then head on over there to the little tiny comic convention in the big Philadelphia Convention Center.
Yep.
And on Sunday, don't look for us, and on Friday, don't look for us because we will be at the beach.
Ha ha.
Because on the Juggernaut beach.
That was dumb.
Don't worry.
That.
I couldn't resist. And come on, comic convention, Juggernaut, beach, get it? Fuck you.
Yeah. Now, my final thoughts on Animazement, because my coverage was again kind of fractured, partly because I originally intended to go solely as a panelist and as a press guy, you know, my coverage of the con. Because I ended up being staff and doing all the awesome stuff and, like, just being staff the whole time, I didn't get to cover the con so much as I was a part of it, which is something I didn't expect to do. So I didn't really have any of the notes or anything I usually take when I go to a con.
Mm-hmm.
So I can promise you that at least our coverage of the next few cons we go to will be much more, I guess, regimented.
Yep. Because like I said, this weekend, Wizard World Philly. The weekend after that, nothing yet. The weekend after that, Anime Next. We'll probably be going to at least one day of Anime Next.
Yep. And of course, when Otakon comes, not only are we going, but we are doing a full-on Geeknights show there.
Now, at Otakon, well, it's 90% confirmed.
Yeah, 90% confirmed. And I'll tell you this. If we somehow don't have our Geek Night show for whatever reason, I'm still doing the Anime Club Summit Extravaganza.
Yep.
And in addition,
we can always do our Geek Night show in the hallway where there's no people walking around.
Yeah.
So, also, so you know, we're going to be at like every day of Otakon, and the week after that is the quote-unquote Week of Awesome.
We're not sure exactly how we're going to handle Geek Nights that week because there's no internet connectivity.
We might prepare like 4 best of episodes and have them automatically post each day, or we might not do podcast that week,
or we
might podcast from the Week of Awesome.
Yeah,
sort
maybe
of like, you know, when Jeopardy is on, like, you know, not where it usually is and it's somewhere else.
We might get
or they do
someone
Wheel
we
of Fortune
know.
on the beach.
We might get someone we know. If we don't have any way to get internet connectivity easily, we'll just call in on our cell phones every day to a friend who has Skype to record it and then have them upload it and everything.
That's a little crazy.
That's not so bad. Just do a short, like Penny Arcade, when they go to cons, they do the sketches. We'll do the sketches, only audio.
I guess, yeah.
We'll see. We got a long time to plan that out.
We do.
And I can tell you with certainty that I will be at Animazement next year, and there's a decent chance that we'll be doing a full-on show there, a Geek Night show.
All right. Let's see how many conventions we can do Geek Night shows at.
Well, let's see. So far, it's going to be Otakon, Animazement, Katsucon.
We got to start hitting up some non-anime conventions.
UberCon.
So far, we got UberCon. Let's go for a couple more gaming conventions out there.
People talk really well of Dragon Con.
Where is it?
Somewhere far away.
Great. I mean, there's that Origins, which I'd like to go to, but that's kind of far away.
Yeah, there's Gen Con.
Isn't that one of those moving cons where it's in a different location all the time?
You know what? I don't actually know. I've never been to Origins.
Like, don't BotCon and Gen Con move around all the time?
Gen Con is complicated. I don't know what the state of Gen Con is now, but it used to be
It exists. It's big.
It used to be in Wisconsin and or Europe.
And it's England, Wisconsin, and somewhere else. I don't know.
I don't know what the deal is with it anymore.
Mm.
Mainly because that kind of con is not my bag usually.
Yeah.
Neither are Comic Cons, so I think I'll have Scott do any of the interviewing we do this weekend.
Yep.
Because my interviews would consist of, so why the hell do you read comics? Why do they bold every other word? What's wrong with Stan Lee? Does he not have a dictionary? Maybe a thesaurus?
Yeah. No, even I'm not too good with the comics. You know, I walk around and there really aren't. Besides, I think Kevin Smith is going to be there. Besides him, I don't really know. Well, no, actually, you know who we can interview that'll be awesome? The brothers Kubert are going to be there, and one of them studied medical illustration at RIT. So if I can remember which one, it's either Andy or Adam. Which one went to RIT? We can talk to him, and it'll be cool.
So in closing, Animazement is fan-fucking-tastic. I cannot express to you enough how much I enjoyed this con. I enjoyed it more than Katsucon.
Mm-hmm.
And Katsucon is a big con, like one of the full-on cons that I'm used to. Animazement is just, it was amazing. It's Animazing.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Step into a Slim Jim.
No, I was doing the Kool-Aid guy.
I know, but I couldn't resist the Slim Jim.
Dude, Randy Savage versus Kool-Aid.
And my last little bit about Animazement will be simply that I subsisted almost entirely on Red Bull, multivitamins, Starbucks coffee, and Penguin Mints.
Scott Speed thanks you for your support.
Yeah. Until the after party when I ate sushi. It was the first real food I had pretty much all weekend.
Yuji Ide thanks you for your support. Inside jokes.
Yeah, and once again, I'd like to give a shout out again to the staff of Animazement. You guys really put on one hell of a con. I'm not just saying that, because if you listen to my coverage of other cons, I will not be polite if I don't like a con.
No, we're brutally honest. Me more so, but...
You should hear what we said about the New York Comic Con.
See, the way Rim is, you know, we're both sort of honest. The thing is, I'm honest in that I say exactly what I think, no more, no less. Rim will say, if something was good, he'll say it's awesome, oh my god. And if something was awesome, oh my god, he says it was holy crap. Peeing in his pants, holy crap.
Yeah,
and if something was a little bit bad, Rim will say, it's terrible, it's bad.
Yeah, I'm a logarithmic
and I'll be like,
scale.
It's bad.
I'm a logarithmic scale in either direction.
Yeah.
But really, all joking aside, Animazement was an awesome con.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night. Oh no! This means that they laid off everyone they don't need, and the only people still working for them are some business people, and those business people are going to take care of the bankruptcy, and then it'll all be over. And I was like, oh well, I guess some want to see which anime companies pick up which of their licenses and which shows disappear into the void, and maybe we can get a whole bunch of cheap CPM DVDs.
Yeah, I'd really like to get some more Utna.
More Utna? Yep. So,
as much as I love that show, all I have are like 5th generation unwatchable fan subs.
Yeah. And Utna is a joke. The actual pronunciation is Utena.
Yeah. I don't care that sometimes they say Utena in the show. You don't call the show Utna. In fact, I saw an interview with Ikuhara, you know, the crazy man who is partly responsible for Utena. and he said Shoujo Kakume Utena.
You can hear them say it in the show.
Sorry, this is just a pet peeve of ours because we've ran into people who, in a non-ironic way, would say Utna.
Yep.
And they'd say it just like that. Gonna watch me some Utna. You ever watch Utna?
God.
Ho down.
Hootenanny.
Ho down.
Hootenanny.
Hut, 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 hut.
Okay, so the latest news is that CPM, they're not bankrupt yet. They didn't file for bankruptcy yet, and we don't know if they're going to. But the real thing that did them in was MediaPlay going out, because that was their biggest customer. So
Yeah.
their biggest customer died, and now they're in big trouble, just like a lot of other anime-related companies were in big trouble when MediaPlay died.
Yeah, I mean, MediaPlay's failure it really sent shockwaves through the anime industry because they were a major, major distributor of anime and anime-related merchandise.
They were the major distributor of anime merchandise. I mean, compared to, there was no company that bought more anime DVDs than MediaPlay.
I mean, consider that MediaPlay went under because the stores were terribly, terribly non-profitable. But there were a few that were profitable, and they were doing well, but they still had to be shut down because the whole franchise was being collapsed.
Yep. And the reason the whole thing died was because they sold CDs, and that was a large part of their business that they depended on, and CD sales.
Yep.
So as a result, all the other profitable parts of the store.
Now, the few media plays that I know of, at least, that were being successful despite all this, made almost all their money from anime.
Yep.
I mean, the one in Rochester, I think anime was really the...
If they violate Swedish laws, and they won't, because what is on the Pirate Bay computers? Well, it's a web server, probably Apache, and an index of torrent files, which aren't copyrighted. And they don't actually have the torrent files. They just have links to torrent files on other sites.
Now, it looks somewhat like a fishing expedition, because I assume the Pirates Bay people, because they're very smart, don't have anything infringing on their actual servers.
Of course not.
Now, they also raided the homes of several of the pirating people. I wouldn't doubt that some of them will have at least one or two pirated songs, as people tend to have.
As people who run the Pirates Bay tend to have.
Yeah. But I mean, that would be like, say, if alcohol was illegal. You can bet that in the vast majority of homes in the U.S., there would be some amount of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Same deal. So one MP3, they get them.
Yep.
And I don't know what's going to come of that. Swedish law regarding that is much more open when it comes to personal, private, non-commercial use.
See, if I was one of those pirate guys, I would be double slick. I would have stored all my MP3s and all that stuff on either portable hard drives and such that were hidden away where no one would find them. You know, when anyone, police came to my house, I just hide them in a secret cubby. Or I would put all of them on a server far away or in someone else's house and network to it.
I have a much simpler solution.
Yep.
When the police officers ask me where I got all these MP3s, I say, I bought used CDs with cash. I then ripped them and threw the CDs away because I no longer needed them.
Ah, it's a good one.
And no matter what MP3 they ask about, that is my answer because it is completely unverifiable. It cannot be proven either true or false.
That's the problem nowadays is in a lot of the stupid U.S. courts, the people are doing guilty until proven innocent instead of the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
1,000 guilty men go free before one innocent man.
Yep.
Yeah, what happened to that?
It seems that a lot of judges and companies basically care more about money and being stupid and being right than about being, I don't
know about stupid and right. I think money is just really the only factor there.
Yeah. I'm thinking justice, maybe. You're by default innocent. That someone has to prove that you did something. If it's impossible to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it, you didn't do it, even if you did it.
Yep. Now
That's exactly right.
Woe betide.
If I kill Rim and
you are.
And Mr. Period failed to edit the subject line. I saw that particular post.
I wonder if he knows that he can.
I'll have to tell him.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
Good, so we'll forget all about nasty-ass White Castle.
Which is fine, because there's actually some big news in the geek front today. Now, reports indicate that the Pirates Bay the bastion of freedom and awesome, has been raided by the Swedish police and is shut down currently.
Well, this morning I tried to go to the Pirates Bay because I was looking for some techno song from Norway.
Oh, really?
Was it from Norway? I can't even remember now.
This Norwegian music's really picking up.
I'm not sure. I was looking for something, and I knew it was from Northern Europe, and Pirate Bay is in Sweden. So I was like, what's up? Why isn't Pirates Bay working? I did a little trace route, and I realized Optima Online wasn't doing the blocking because I made it to the Swedish routers. And then I just kind of gave up. And then I got to work, and I looked at the news on Dig, and it said, Pirates Bay raided, oh my god, what the fuck? And I said, oh shit.
Yeah, now normally I don't care about anything like this, but this isn't over with the raid. I mean, there have been countless little porn areas or wares areas or generally seedy parts of the internet where people would do this sort of thing, and they've come and gone over the years. But the Pirates Bay has been the highest quality, most reliable, and most resilient one ever.
Yeah, I mean, Supernova was the big torrent tracker, and no one else bothered to be a torrent tracker. And Supernova really wasn't that great, so I'm kind of glad that it got killed. But when they came to kill Supernova, Supernova basically bent over and said, all right, and they opened the asshole.
But the
Pirates Bay just gave the 2 double deuces and stayed on the sinking ship.
I mean,
it's not sunk yet either.
The Pirates Bay has received countless legal threats for many years, and every one of them, not only have they ignored, but they've responded publicly and hilariously.
They have their own political party, the Piraten something. And come on.
Now, the thing is, I mean, a lot of people rely on Pirates Bay, and someone noted on Slashdot that the average traffic in Sweden on the internet dropped precipitously as Pirates Bay went down.
Holy crap.
And the thing is, the people who run Pirates Bay know what they're doing. They are well aware of the laws that protect them, and I don't think the people raiding them will actually have anything on them.
No, because they're pretty much going to look through all the Pirate Bay computers to see there's no evidence. You can't put me in jail.
Woe betide the judge that ever has me or Scott on his jury. Woe betide.
Or defendant or plaintiff.
You know what? Pretty much anyone involved in that trial is not going to have a good week.
No, they're not.
But the one thing I really want to note here is that the Pirates Bay people are going to fight to the bitter end. They have hinted that if they have to, they will take everything and leave the country. The Pirates Bay will return.
Arr. It's like the ghost ship. Arr.
Now, the other thing about the Pirates Bay is that most of these sites prior to them were very porny and seedy.
Yep.
I mean, wares sites were generally bastions of wares, but they were also full of terrible porn and just scuzzy people.
The other thing is a lot of those sites are poorly designed, or they're designed like wares sites. You know, this design of a wares site, all cluttered, and the interface is shitty, and it's hard to figure out what to click on.
They have that animated GIF of a fire.
Yeah. You know, I hate those kind of sites. But then there's good sites like Mini Nova or Pirates Bay, which are designed nicely, and they're useful, and they work.
I mean, the Pirates Bay was slick, user-friendly. It was run very professionally. Everyone involved in it was generally cool. And they're not just doing it for reasons of being pirates. They're doing it for ideological reasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I really look upon them as the early stages of freedom fighters against the various takeovers of the internet by, I don't want to say capitalists, but greedy corporate fucks, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, of course, we will be covering this developing story as it, develops. Now, Scott, don't you have some news?
Oh, I do. So CPM, Central Park Media, if you don't know.
It being Anime Day and all.
Hey, they're an anime company. They put out lots of anime in America that you've probably bought. Like Utna. The Utna.
Gonna watch some of that Utna?
Yeah. You know, they're not the best. They haven't really been able to compete with the likes of Viz, I guess, Funimation, Geneon, etc. They're, the second tier anime producing company. They were big back in the day, but they haven't been able to get the new licenses. So they haven't been doing so well. They're basically milking their old licenses. They're also not that good at making DVDs, to be honest. But they do license some important anime. Now, recently they laid off a bunch of people. And everyone said, oh,
It's Wednesday, May 31st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight I bring you my somewhat rambling coverage of Animazement.
Let's do this.
So I spent most of today in the South Bronx doing various odd jobs.
How south were you?
Very, very south.
Left claw north, right claw south.
Yeah, but I did something that I haven't done in a long time. It's been many months, but while I was driving down, I passed one of my favorite restaurants, and I had a break, so I took the subway back up the way I'd came, and for the first time in many, many months, I had a White Castle.
Ew.
I had like 10 burgers and some onion rings.
Ew.
The best part was the onion rings cost more than 2.6 burgers.
Ew.
I don't know what you have against White Castle. It is perhaps the king of food.
Maybe because it is in a castle, it is a king. However, the food itself is of the lowest quality. Well, not the absolute lowest quality, because you could just be eating dog poop or something. But of restaurants legally established in the United States with no health violations, White Castle is among the lowest possible caliber.
Now, the funny thing is, I can't stand most fast food. I mean, the thought of McDonald's makes me kind of ill.
The only fast food I can really eat today is like Arby's type. And I guess if you count stuff like Quiznos as fast food, because it kind of is.
Yeah, all that plus White Castle. I can just
Can't eat White Castle.
I can pretty much eat White Castle burgers as fast as my body can process them. I can eat an infinite number of them. As long as I have access to a facility for relieving them from my body.
Ew.
Maybe it's because I grew up on White Castle. I mean, I lived in Detroit, and then I moved to New Baltimore, and there was a White Castle right down the street from my house.
So if you eat a White Castle, does a white brick come out?
No.
No?
No.
No. Because I figure that's how they made those places.
Actually, the one I ate at, or the one at which I ate, so Mr. Perry doesn't yell at me since he's back, as you've noticed in the forums.
Well, he's been there the whole time. He just hasn't noticed any severe enough violations.
Yeah, well, he kind of went on like a sabbatical or something, and he's back, and then someone finally went over the line. You
Yeah.
know who